You are sitting in your fortified shelter. The doors are locked. The world outside has descended into chaos, but you feel secure. You have 500 pounds of white rice sealed in mylar bags. You have done everything the checklists told you to do. You are eating 2,000 calories a day. Your stomach is full. Yet you are slowly losing your mind. Your gums are bleeding. Your fatigue is crushing. You are starving to death with a full belly. This is not fiction. This is biology. It is a condition known historically as rabbit starvation or protein poisoning. But in a modern collapse scenario, it will be the silent killer of the prepared. The survival industry has sold you a lie wrapped in 5-gallon food-grade buckets. The industry tells you that bulk grains are the answer to food security. The industry is wrong. Before we dissect the anatomy of your inevitable malnutrition, establish your baseline. Leave a mark in the comments to prove you are still lucid enough to understand the threat. Strike the like button to secure this intelligence channel, and subscribe if you intend to survive the famine that follows the feast. The fundamental error in modern preparedness is the obsession with volume over density. You look at a room stacked to the ceiling with rice and beans, and your brain registers safety. Your brain is lying to you. That stack of carbohydrates represents a slow, agonizing death if it is not paired with the one macronutrient that the human body desperately craves in high-stress environments. That nutrient is fat. Without it, your body cannot process the vitamins in those grains. Without it, your neural pathways begin to degrade. The survival manuals glorify the rice and beans diet because it is cheap to manufacture and easy to store. Economic convenience is not biological reality. Let us look at the thermodynamics. A single gram of carbohydrate provides 4 calories of energy. A single gram of fat provides 9. In a grid-down scenario, where the heating systems have failed and you are burning thousands of calories just to maintain your core body temperature, mathematics becomes a matter of life and death. If you rely solely on rice, you must consume more than double the mass to achieve the same energy output as someone utilizing fat. But the problem goes deeper than simple caloric math. It is about metabolic processing. The human liver has a limit on how much urea it can produce to process protein and how much glucose it can handle from carbohydrates. When you exceed this limit without sufficient fat to buffer the digestion, your body enters a state of acute malnutrition. History provides the autopsy report for this failure. Early Arctic explorers often died despite having ample supplies of lean meat. The indigenous populations, the Inuit and the Native Americans, understood what the civilized explorers did not. Fat is life. They prioritized the blubber, the marrow, and the grease. They threw the lean meat to the dogs. The explorers, blinded by their civilized dietary norms, ate the lean muscle and withered away. You are making the same mistake with your stockpile of dry grains. You are preparing to eat like a peasant in a time of peace, rather than a predator in a time of ice. This brings us to the calorie gap. This is the deficit between what you think you have stored and what your body can actually use. You might calculate that you have 1 million calories stored in rice. On paper, that looks like a year of survival. In reality, without a fat source to facilitate absorption and fuel the brain, that timeline is cut in half. You are calculating your survival based on a spreadsheet, not a metabolism. The breakdown of complex carbohydrates requires water and energy. If water is scarce, eating dry rice and beans accelerates dehydration. Fat, however, is metabolic rocket fuel. It burns clean, it burns long, and most importantly, it spares your protein stores. When the body lacks dietary fat, it turns on itself. This is a process called catabolism. Your body begins to strip the fat from your own cells. Once your own body fat is gone, it begins to consume your muscle tissue. This includes the heart muscle. While you are scooping spoonful after spoonful of rice into your mouth, your body is effectively digesting its own heart to keep the lights on. You are eating, but you are also being eaten. This is the paradox that the survival retailers will never put on a warning label. They sell you the illusion of abundance while selling you a nutritional deficit. You need to shift your perspective from food storage to fuel storage. Imagine your body is a furnace. Rice is akin to paper. It flares up, gives a quick burst of heat, and turns to ash. Fat is coal. It provides a sustained, high-intensity burn that keeps the engine running through the coldest night. In a survival situation, you do not need quick energy spikes. You need endurance. You need to maintain body heat in a freezing house. You need to patrol your perimeter. You need to haul water. Carbohydrates cannot sustain this workload. Furthermore, consider the psychological component. The brain is 60% fat. The myelin sheaths that insulate your neurons and allow for electrical impulses to travel are made of fat. When you deprive the brain of this essential building block, cognitive decline is rapid. In a high-stakes environment where one wrong decision means death, you cannot afford brain fog. You cannot afford the irritability, depression, and confusion that comes with a low-fat diet. The people who hoard only rice will not just starve, they will go insane first. Madness is a side effect of malnutrition. The solution is not to discard the rice. Rice is a useful filler. It is a vehicle. But a vehicle needs fuel. You need to stockpile the most calorie-dense, shelf-stable, and economically efficient substance available to modern man. It is not pemmican. It is not freeze-dried beef stroganoff. It is simple, cheap vegetable oil. This is your liquid gold. Specifically, you need to look at oils with high smoke points and long shelf lives. But even the cheapest soy or canola oil becomes a lifeline when the grid goes down. Consider the logistics of space. A single gallon of vegetable oil contains approximately 31,000 calories. A 5-gallon bucket of rice contains approximately 70,000 calories. However, that bucket of rice takes up significantly more space and requires gallons of water and hours of fuel to cook. Oil requires zero preparation. You can drink it straight if necessary. You can pour it over that dry, tasteless rice to triple the caloric value of the meal without adding any bulk to your stomach. In a scenario where you must flee, where you are mobile, you cannot carry 50 pounds of grain. You can, however, carry 2 liters of oil in your pack, giving you enough energy to march for weeks. The experts on television tell you to buy MREs. The military ready-to-eat ration is designed for soldiers with massive logistical tails, not for the lone survivor. MREs are expensive, heavy, and cause severe constipation. You are not the military. You do not have a supply chain. You have a budget and a basement. For the price of 1 case of MREs, which provides perhaps 12 days of food, you can buy enough cooking oil to supplement your diet for a year. The economics of survival are ruthless. You must get the maximum amount of energy for the minimum amount of currency and space. You now understand that caloric density is the only metric that matters when the supply trucks stop running. You understand that a gallon of oil is worth more than its weight in ammunition because you cannot shoot your way out of starvation. However, simply buying gallons of cheap vegetable oil and throwing them in the corner of your garage is not a strategy. It is a recipe for toxic waste. This brings us to the second fatal error preppers make. This is the failure to understand the chemistry of decay. The enemy of your stockpile is not the looter. The enemy is oxidation. The survival industry and the grocery retailers slap a date on a bottle and expect you to obey it. The manufacturers want you to believe that oil expires like milk. This is a half-truth designed to keep inventory moving. Oil does not rot in the traditional sense. It oxidizes. This is a chemical reaction where oxygen molecules attack the carbon chains in the fat. When this happens, the oil does not just taste bad. It becomes a carrier for free radicals. Consuming rancid oil causes cellular damage and inflammation. In a survival scenario, where your immune system is already compromised by stress and lack of hygiene, poisoning yourself with your own food supply is a rookie mistake that will cost you your life. To defeat this enemy, you must understand the molecular structure of what you are buying. Not all fats are created equal. The stability of an oil is determined by its saturation. Saturated fats possess a molecular structure where the carbon atoms are fully saturated with hydrogen atoms. There are no double bonds. In chemical terms, a double bond is a weak point. It is a gap in the armor where oxygen can pry its way in and break the chain. Saturated fats are armor-plated energy. This is why coconut oil and lard are superior to corn or canola oil for long-term storage. Coconut oil is almost entirely saturated fat. It is chemically stable. It can sit on a shelf for years without turning rancid if kept properly. Vegetable oils are polyunsaturated. They are full of weak points. They are chemically fragile. However, Coconut oil is expensive. You are likely operating on a budget. If you must stockpile cheap vegetable oils, you must treat them like volatile chemicals. Light, heat, and oxygen are the trinity of decay. Sunlight is a catalyst. It accelerates the oxidation process by providing the energy needed to break those chemical bonds. If you store your clear plastic bottles of oil on an open shelf exposed to a window, you are actively destroying your investment. Within 6 months, that oil will be useless. Darkness is the first requirement of preservation. The second requirement is temperature control. Heat increases the kinetic energy of the molecules, causing them to collide and react faster. Every 10-degree rise in temperature roughly doubles the rate of chemical reactions. The back of a hot car or a non-insulated shed is a death sentence for your fuel supply. Cold is the great preserver. If you have the capacity, freezing your oil is the ultimate cheat code against entropy. Oil does not expand and burst the bottle like water does when it freezes. It simply thickens and goes dormant. The chemical reactions that cause rancidity slow to a crawl near absolute zero. The freezer is a time machine for your calories.
The third variable is the container itself. The plastic bottles that oil is sold in are not impermeable. On a microscopic level, plastic is porous. Over time, oxygen molecules will slowly migrate through the plastic wall and contaminate the oil. This is why the best buy date exists. It is not because the oil goes bad, it is because the container fails. For true long-term storage, you must transfer this liquid gold into gas-impermeable containers. Glass jars or metal tins are the only materials that form a true barrier against the atmosphere. Plastic is a sieve. Glass is a vault. Do not fall into the trap of rotating your stock based on the dates the industry prints on the label. Those dates are for legal liability and stock turnover. Trust your nose. Rancid oil has a distinct smell of paint thinner or old crayons. If it smells like chemicals, it has become chemical waste. However, even rancid oil has a use. Pragmatism demands that nothing is wasted. If your oil turns, it is no longer food, but it is still fuel. It can be burned in a lamp for light. It can be used to lubricate tools. It can be used as an accelerant for fire starting. In the apocalypse, waste is the only sin. You must also consider the tactical application of this calorie density. In a bug-out scenario, weight is your primary adversary. You cannot carry a month's worth of rice on your back. The caloric math does not work. You would collapse from exhaustion trying to haul the very food meant to save you. But you can carry 2 liters of oil mixed with dry survival bars or hardtack. This combination gives you the energy density to keep moving, while others are pinned down by the weight of their own supplies. Mobility is survival. The ability to move fast and light depends entirely on how efficiently you can pack energy. The rice and beans crowd ignores the physiological effect of dietary fat on morale. Eating nothing but boiled grain for weeks leads to a phenomenon known as appetite fatigue. Your brain, sensing the lack of essential nutrients, will signal you to stop eating. You will look at the bowl of rice and feel nausea, even though you are starving. This is a biological safety mechanism gone wrong. Adding fat, salt, and oil tricks the brain. It triggers the dopamine response. It makes the food palatable. You cannot survive if you cannot force yourself to eat. The strategy is clear. You need to diversify your caloric portfolio. Stop buying another bag of rice today. Go to the store and buy the largest containers of oil you can afford. Prioritize coconut oil for the long haul and vegetable oil for immediate consumption or non-food utility. Store them in the darkest, coldest part of your structure. Wrap the bottles in duct tape or aluminum foil to block out every photon of light. Treat this substance with the same reverence you treat your water and your weapons. It is the only thing standing between you and the slow, confusing death of rabbit starvation. But knowing what to store is only half the battle. You must know how to use it when the grid fails. You cannot simply drink a cup of oil without vomiting. Your digestive system needs to be trained, and you need to understand the recipes of the desperation age. The next phase of your education involves the practical application of high-fat survival cooking and the integration of this liquid gold into a diet that will keep you fighting when the rest of the world is dying of malnutrition. You survive the initial collapse. You have your rice, you have your gallons of oil. You feel prepared. You decide to boost your energy levels, so you pour half a cup of vegetable oil over your bowl of rice and consume it. 2 hours later,
You are curled on the floor of your shelter, gripping your stomach in agony. You are vomiting. You are experiencing explosive diarrhea. You are losing water faster than you can filter it. You have just poisoned yourself with your own survival strategy. In a grid-down scenario where clean water is precious and medical care is non-existent, severe dehydration is not an inconvenience. It is a death sentence. You did not account for the biological limitations of the human machine.
Before we diagnose your failure, leave a mark in the comments if your stomach is strong enough for the truth. Hit the like button to signal that you are ready to adapt, and subscribe if you want to avoid the rookie mistakes that will turn your shelter into a tomb. The problem is not the oil. The problem is your gallbladder. This is a small, pear-shaped organ that sits under your liver. Its job is to store bile, a potent fluid produced by the liver to break down fats. In your modern life, eating processed carbohydrates and lean proteins, your gallbladder is lazy. It is not conditioned for a high-fat diet. When you suddenly flood your system with pure lipids, your gallbladder attempts to release enough bile to emulsify the fat, but it cannot keep up. You have flooded the engine. The undigested fat passes into your intestines,
where it acts as a powerful laxative. This is the Lipid Shock.
The survival manuals tell you to stock fat, but they do not tell you how to eat it. If you transition from a standard diet to a high-fat survival diet overnight, you will incapacitate yourself. The bacteria in your gut, the microbiome, are adapted to your current diet. Sudden changes cause a bacterial revolt. In a situation where hygiene is already compromised, inducing diarrhea is practically suicide. You lose electrolytes, you lose morale, you lose the very calories you were trying to consume. Your efficiency drops to zero. You must train your biology just as you train with your rifle. This is the principle of metabolic adaptation. You cannot wait for the bombs to fall to change your diet. You must begin conditioning your body now. Start by gradually increasing the fat content of your meals. Force your liver to produce more bile. Force your pancreas to secrete more lipase, the enzyme that breaks down fat. Biology is plastic. It molds to the demand you place on it. If you do not create that demand now, your body will fail you when the demand is forced upon it by necessity. When the time comes to consume your stockpile, you must use the technique of stealth calories. Do not drink the oil. Do not let it pool on top of your food. You must emulsify it. Mix the oil vigorously into the hot rice or porridge until it disappears. By binding the fat molecules to the starch, you slow down the digestion process. This gives your enzymes time to work. It prevents the sudden dumping of lipids into the intestine. You are tricking your gut into accepting the fuel. Consider the mathematics of digestion. The body can only absorb a certain amount of fat per hour. Spreading your intake throughout the day is critical. Small, frequent doses of fuel keep the metabolic fire burning without choking the furnace. If you eat one massive, greasy meal a day, you are asking for system failure. You must graze. You must keep a steady trickle of energy entering the system. This stabilizes your blood sugar and prevents the insulin spikes that lead to the crash after a carbohydrate-heavy meal. Consistency is the key to metabolic stability. There is another layer to this strategy. Fat is flavor, but it is also a preservative for cooked food. In a world without refrigeration, keeping a pot of boiled rice from spoiling is a challenge. Coating that rice in oil creates a barrier against oxygen and bacteria. It does not replace a refrigerator, but it buys you time. It keeps the food moist and palatable. In the psychological war of survival, the texture of food matters. Dry, clumping rice feels like defeat. Oily, savory rice feels like a meal. Never underestimate the will to live that comes from a satisfying texture. However, your stockpile of oil will eventually run dry. The plastic bottles will empty. The stores will be looted. What happens then? You cannot grow oil in a garden. You cannot hunt a bottle of canola. This is the terrifying reality of the fat cliff. When your stored lipids are gone, you face the same rabbit starvation you tried to avoid. This means your long-term survival strategy must shift from hoarding to harvesting. You must understand where fat exists in nature, and it is not where you think. Most modern hunters strip the fat off their kill. They have been trained by the diet industry to fear cholesterol. In the new world, cholesterol is your god. You must unlearn everything the heart health associations taught you.
When you trap a rabbit or a squirrel, the meat is useless without the fat. But small game is notoriously lean. Where is the fat hiding? It is in the brain. It is in the marrow of the bones. It is in the internal organs. You must become a butcher of the old world. You must crack the bones and boil them to extract the grease. You must eat the brain. This is where the squeamish die. If you cannot bring yourself to eat the eyes, the brain, and the entrails of an animal, you will starve. The muscle meat is just structure. The organs are the batteries. The liver is a vitamin pill. The brain is a block of pure fat.
Indigenous cultures knew this. They prized the fatty organs above all else. The muscle meat was often dried and fed to the dogs or used for low-value jerky. You must become an apex predator, not a grocery shopper. Furthermore, you must look for plant-based sources of fat that you can actually cultivate. You cannot grow a field of soybeans and press them for oil. The industrial equipment required is beyond you. You need high-yield, low-tech crops. Sunflowers. The seeds are rich in oil and can be eaten raw. Walnuts and pecans. These are trees that, once established, drop fat bombs from the sky every autumn. Plant trees today that will feed you in 10 years. This is the ultimate act of optimism and pragmatism. A walnut tree is a biological oil refinery that runs on sunlight and rain. The transition from the store-bought phase to the hunter-gatherer phase is the most dangerous period of the collapse. It is the filter that separates the tourists from the residents of the new dark age. Your gallons of oil are merely a bridge. They are a buffer to keep you alive while you learn how to extract energy from the landscape. If you do not have a plan to cross that bridge, you are just delaying the inevitable. You are just a well-fed corpse waiting for the expiration date.
You have the knowledge of chemistry, you have the strategy of biology, but there is one final variable that overrides everything. It is the external threat. You can have the perfect diet, the perfect stockpile, and the perfect metabolic adaptation, but it means nothing if you cannot defend it. The smell of cooking oil is distinct. In a starving neighborhood, the scent of frying food is a dinner bell for the desperate. Your calories are a beacon. You are boiling rice mixed with soy oil on your camp stove. The windows are blacked out. The doors are barricaded. You believe you are a ghost. But 300 yards away, a starving neighbor lifts his head. He does not see you. He smells you. The human nose is a primal sensor capable of detecting volatile organic compounds at parts per billion. In a world stripped of industrial exhaust, the air will be clean, and the aroma of heating fat travels like a siren. You have just announced your location to every predator within a half-mile radius. Your blackout curtains are useless because you forgot to secure the atmosphere. The survival industry sells you camouflage for your body, but the industry does not sell camouflage for your cooking. This is the olfactory beacon. When you heat oil, you release microscopic particulates that ride on thermal currents. Hot air rises and pushes through the cracks in your door frames. Once outside, the wind carries this information to the hungry. Hunger heightens the senses. A starving human has the olfactory acuity of a wolf. The mob will track that scent back to your doorstep, and the mob will not ask politely for a share. You must rethink the thermodynamics of food preparation.
Frying is forbidden.
Frying aerosolizes fat and creates a plume of delicious evidence that is impossible to contain. You must embrace the boil. Boiling water creates steam, which binds the scent molecules to water droplets that fall out of the air faster. Better yet, utilize the retort method by heating sealed bags of rice and oil in water without opening them. The smell stays trapped in the plastic until you consume it deep inside your shelter.
Timing is a tactical variable. Do not cook when the neighborhood is awake. You must cook during the masking events. Wait for a heavy rainstorm to wash the air clean. Wait for a strong wind to disperse the scent. If you cook at 3 a.m., the cold night air often creates a thermal inversion, trapping smoke close to the ground. Understand the meteorology of your immediate environment. Nature determines your meal schedule, not your stomach. But the threat goes beyond the smell of food. It is the look of the survivor. If you are successfully eating your high-fat diet, you will maintain your weight. Your skin will have color. This health is a liability. When you step outside to scavenge, you will stand out against a backdrop of gaunt, walking skeletons.
The starving mob will look at your round face and steady gait, and they will know instantly that you have a stockpile. You will become a target simply because you do not look like you are dying. This requires biological camouflage. You must learn to act the part of the victim. Wear clothes that are 2 sizes too large to hide your muscle mass. Move with deliberate slowness. Smudge dirt on your face to hide the healthy glow of your skin. You must be a gray man in both equipment and biology. If you look like a prize, you will be claimed by a stronger predator. The psychological toll of this deception is heavy. You are eating in the dark, hiding your trash, and pretending to starve. You cannot share your success. You cannot help the beggar at your gate, because to give him a cup of rice is to admit you have 50 pounds of it. A demand becomes a raid. Charity is a breach of operational security.
You cannot save everyone. If you try, you capsize the lifeboat and everyone drowns. You must create a protocol for waste disposal. Empty bottles and wrappers are forensic evidence. You cannot throw them in a trash can that does not get collected, and you cannot burn plastic because black smoke is a signal fire. You must wash the trash to remove food residue and store it inside until you can bury it deep under the cover of darkness. Your garbage is an intelligence dossier on your supplies. Consider the ultimate contingency. If the house is compromised, you cannot carry gallons of sloshing liquid on your back. You need to pre-position caches. Bury sealed PVC pipes filled with supplies in remote locations. Decentralization is insurance. If your main shelter falls, you must have a resupply point that allows you to restart the clock. You have mastered the intake, storage, and concealment, but the final enemy is time itself. You must transition from a survivor to a ruler of your environment. The grid has been down for 18 months. Your solar panels are shattered. Your batteries bled out their charge a year ago. The world is plunged into a medieval darkness that you cannot comprehend until you are standing in it. In this abyss, the man with a lamp is a king. This brings us to the final dimension of your strategy.
Oil is not just calories, it is civilization. If you view your stockpile merely as food, you are wasting 50% of its potential. Vegetable oil is the ultimate multi-role logistic asset. It is the blood of your new infrastructure. Consider the physics of illumination. When the electrical grid dies, the night becomes a prison. Modern LEDs rely on complex supply chains, but an oil lamp relies on physics. A simple wick draws the oil up via capillary action to burn. This is technology that is immune to an EMP. With 1 gallon of vegetable oil, you can run a small lamp for hundreds of hours. You are not just storing dinner, you are storing the ability to see the threat coming. Now, look at your tools. Entropy is your constant enemy. Rust is the oxidation of iron, and just as oxygen attacks your food, it attacks your steel. In a damp, unheated shelter, a high-quality firearm will turn into a fused lump of red dust. Vegetable oil is the hydrophobic barrier that stops time. A thin layer of oil displaces water and creates a seal against oxygen. It is a crude lubricant, but a crude lubricant is infinitely better than a seized bolt. You are maintaining the machines that keep you alive with the same substance that fuels your muscles. Shift your focus to the medical reality. You are walking miles to scavenge water. Your boots are failing and your socks are wet. Trench foot is a fungal necrosis caused by prolonged dampness that kills tissue. Fat is your shield. Rubbing oil into your feet creates a hydrophobic layer that repels water and prevents the skin from becoming waterlogged. In a world without antibiotics, preventing a break in the skin is more valuable than a surgeon. Furthermore, consider the thermodynamics of insulation. You are cold, the heating is gone. A layer of oil on the skin acts as an additional insulating barrier, reducing evaporative cooling. It is messy and uncomfortable, but comfort is a memory. When the temperature drops to freezing, that layer of grease could be the difference between shivering and hypothermia. This versatility creates a paradox of value. Every ounce of oil you burn in a lamp is an ounce of oil you cannot eat. This is the command decision. You become the logistician of your own survival. You must weigh the value of light against the value of hunger. This constant calculation will sharpen your mind and strip away the waste. Most preppers stockpile items with single uses, compartmentalizing a chaotic world. Nature does not compartmentalize.
By centering your strategy on a substance that bridges the gap between diet, defense, and infrastructure, you align yourself with efficiency. However, because oil is so useful, you will be tempted to use it freely. This is resource creep. It is the slow, imperceptible drain of your lifeline. You must enforce strict rationing protocols. Treat every drop as if it were the last drop on Earth. The industrial world has made us lazy with specialized products. When the industry falls, the survivors will be the ones who understand the fundamental chemistry of basic substances. You are not just a consumer anymore. You are a chemist. You are an engineer. You have seen the full spectrum of the lie. The rice was a decoy. The true key to survival was hidden in the most mundane aisle of the grocery store. The lights are still on, for now. The window of opportunity is closing. The panic buyers are sleeping. You must move while they dream. The lecture is over. The theoretical phase of your survival is concluded. The exam is approaching, and it will not be graded by a professor. It will be graded by natural selection. You have seen the mathematical certainty of your demise if you continue to follow the standard checklists. You have seen how rabbit starvation awaits the man with a belly full of grain. The difference between the survivor and the casualty is not luck. It is the understanding of energy density. The calorie gap is a gap in mindset. The masses believe that survival is a product they can buy. The industry tells the consumer that safety comes in a plastic bucket. This is the commercialization of fear. Real survival is about caloric efficiency. It is about looking at a bottle of oil and seeing a week of life, a night of light, and a weapon against the cold. It is about stripping away the comfort of civilized eating and embracing the brutal pragmatism of the biological machine. When the systems crash, the veneer of society will evaporate within 72 hours. The polite neighbors will become desperate competitors. The laws of man will be replaced by the laws of thermodynamics. In that new world, the man who holds the most dense, stable, and versatile form of energy holds the power. You can be the gray man fading into the background, fueled by the liquid gold hidden in your walls, or you can be the skeleton guarding a mountain of dry rice. The choice is made now, in the checkout aisle. Do not let this intelligence sit in your mind as an abstract concept. Information without action is a hallucination. The supply chains are currently functioning. The tankers are still moving. You have a narrow window of time to convert your fiat currency, which is destined to become worthless, into the chemical energy that will become priceless. You are trading paper for life. Go to your pantry. Look at the bags of white rice. Acknowledge them for what they are: incomplete. They are the bricks of a house without mortar. Without the fat to bind them, the wall will crumble. You must fill the gap. You must secure the oil. You must treat it with the discipline of a chemist and the reverence of a starving man. The world is fragile. It hangs on a wire of electricity. When that wire snaps, the darkness will be absolute. Most will not survive the transition. They will die wondering why they are starving with full stomachs. You will not be among them. You will be the flame in the void. The storm is coming. Fill your lamps.